Okay, this is Ryan from The Finer Grind, and this is the video to show you how to repair the thermal fuse that sits on top of the boiler of the Gaggia Classic. About a week ago, my Classic failed to power on. There was no power going through it, and I searched online and see what there were, what type of fixes there were available. And through some of the research, I found that the thermal fuse that sits on top of the boiler, it can fail, and it's kind of a common problem. So I've gone ahead and sourced and purchased a new thermal fuse to replace this one, and hopefully that's going to fix it. The thermal fuse is a 184 degrees Celsius fuse, so it's rated to trigger at that temperature. And I've already have the top of the Gaggia Classic removed, and I'm going to show you where the thermal fuse is actually located. So this right here is the thermal fuse itself. You can see it's crimped onto the wires, and it might, I don't know if this is the original one, it might be replaced before, given that this Gaggia Classic is about 15-16 years old. It's one of the older ones with the chrome cladding on the outside. So this thermal fuse sits on top of the boiler, and it sits on the top of the boiler right here. Don't know if that shows out well. Yep, you can see that there in that slot there. And there's a clip that actually holds it down that's on top of the boiler that you removed, and that hole right next to it here, this hole here is where the screw holds the clip in, and the clip presses down on top of the thermal fuse, which is slotted here on top of the boiler. So I've already removed the thermal fuse from that clip, and there's this plastic, I don't know if you can see it here, there's this plastic tube that normally goes on top of this thermal fuse and wire, and that's to protect it. So you need to slide that towards the front of the machine. So you can see here that I've slid it across the wire and I've left it there. So there's two wires on the back of the machine here, and on one side of the thermal fuse, and then there's one wire on the other side. So what we need to do is clip the butt connectors off as close to the connector as possible, so we leave as much wire as possible. But I think on the back here, these two wires, I think I'll have to strip off a little bit of the wire casing to expose new wire. So let's go and do that, and then let's get replacing on this thermal fuse. Okay, so I got my wire snippers here, and you can see that the butt connector actually, this is round part here, and it's a butt connector there. I'm going to actually try and snip it off here before it connects to this cylinder part, so maybe I can slide that off, but if not, I'll have to cut it closer to the wire pretty much and strip it again. So here we go. Oh, and of course, goes without saying that make sure your machine, of course, is unplugged at first before you even take it to top off. So of course, that's safety. Doesn't look like I can slide that off. Maybe I can snip off the other side first. So this side is not so bad. I can still snip it close to the cylinder and have about over 1/4 inch of wire exposed still, so it's a lot better here. Okay, there's the old thermal fuse. Oh, I want us to mention that before you snip it off, note the direction. So on this thermal fuse, it was mounted on like this with the tapered point on this side towards the back of the machine, and then the flat edge towards the front of the machine. So when you mount your new thermal fuse on, you want to have it in the same orientation. Okay, so I've had to strip the cylindrical part that was hooked onto the wires. The two wires back here, I just couldn't get it off, so I'll have to strip off the insulation on these two wires back here. And you should be stripping them back to about 1/4 inch, exposing the wire. So I'm going to take these wires, I'm just going to bundle them together here and hang them over the edge, so when I strip them with the wire stripper, they won't, the casings won't fall into the machine. So let's strip these here. I'll do one at a time here. Okay, so I've stripped the wires, and now the connector here is slid onto the 2 wires, and then I'm going to cut this Thermalfuse, the wires on the end, a little shorter so that when I put everything back together, the plastic tube can slide over, and you want to ensure that the plastic tube covers all the connections and a little bit of the wire so that it's insulated properly. So I'm now going to cut this off, slide it in, and then crimp it. Okay, so I've slid the wires in together, and now I'm going to crimp the Thermalfuse to the wiring. I don't want to crimp too hard or else you cut the Thermalfuse out from the wiring. Give it a little tug and it looks tight. Good, now we're going to do the other side. Okay, we've got both sides crimped on now, so you just want to give it a little tug on each side just to make sure that the crimps are on tight. And now we need to slide the tube back over everything here. So let's slide that over back here. Okay, so now we have the plastic tube slid over the Thermalfuse once again. Now you just need to put everything back the way it came out. Make sure that the Thermalfuse is in the slot on top of the boiler, and put the brass clip back on. Button everything up and test out, see if it powers on. Thanks for watching.